As we said earlier in the week, we favored education over enforcement when that was appropriate. With the arrival of the second wave, COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and sadly deaths have continued to increase and risen dramatically. And so it's the time for all of us to embrace our individual responsibilities as it relates to addressing this situation and dealing with these issues. That doesn't mean there won't be a time and a place for discretion. With changing health guidance, I can assure you we'll continue to be reasonable in our interactions in this regard. But the biggest challenge that we seem to be facing right now are those who are blatantly ignoring the laws. The issue is not that they're unaware and require education. The issue is more that they simply disagree, and these people will be charged accordingly. We've acknowledged people's constitutional right to gather and to have their voices heard. And in fact, we attend many of these sorts of protests and demonstrations throughout the year and uphold those very rights. But limits have been temporarily placed on those rights and freedoms in the interests of public safety and the health of our citizens. I appreciate that there are those who would disagree that the limitations and restraints are reasonable and who might want to debate. The place to do that debating is not in Olympic Plaza, and it's not on Stephen Avenue. The place, in fact, to do that is in the courtroom where judges will hear the evidence, hear the arguments, and ultimately make a decision. As your police service, it's our role then to initiate the opportunity and the process for people to do that through the laying of charges, to move these issues from the streets into the courtroom. With respect to previous and future demonstrations, as we work through these issues with organizers and participants, I remind the community that our officers assess these situations on a case-by-case basis and take the action that they believe is appropriate at the time they think it's appropriate, and really based on the circumstances they're dealing with at the time. The fact that officers are in attendance at rallies should never be construed or interpreted as either condoning or encouraging people to break the laws. Rest assured, investigations are ongoing and evidence is being gathered so that appropriate enforcement steps can be taken, again, at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way. We announced yesterday that enforcement action had been taken against several people in connection with last weekend's larger anti-mask rally. These people are alleged to have organized and knowingly violated the restrictions that are put in place to keep us all safe. Make no mistake, you're responsible for the things that you do in this regard. Today, I can further announce that another 3 people will receive long-form summonses in relation to that same event. All 3 will be charged under Section 73 Sub 1 of the Public Health Act, and or for contravening an order of the Chief Medical Officer of Health, and for failing to wear a face covering when required. As a reminder, the penalty for contravening Section 73 Sub 1 of the Public Health Act is $1,200, and the fine for failing to wear the face covering that was issued was $50. Some of you may have seen a recent video online by one of the individuals who received a ticket. It was a heated and at times a rather objectionable outburst directed at the officers who were simply doing their job by enforcing these very, very important orders. I want to reiterate how proud I am of these officers and the professionalism that they demonstrated. We will continue with these sorts of constructive and respectful interactions with members of the community, even as we work with our city partners to pursue enforcement against those who choose to break the law. We're absolutely not looking to punish people who are simply looking to try to get through this pandemic. This is about keeping all Calgarians safe by addressing disappointing and intentional acts of defiance that threaten our healthcare system and our well-being.